There are three elements that make up the Mashiach, the Messiah. One is his own nature. The second is what he does. And the third are his accomplishments. The nature is at the core of his being. To a certain degree, he has to develop his own nature. And then there's what he does with his nature in terms of dealing with others. And then finally, there are his accomplishments. The problem that many people have in the historical world, the world of literature, the world of cynicism, is that if someone comes along and is a candidate to be the Messiah and does those things that a Messiah has to do, but does not accomplish what Messiah must accomplish, then they assume that this is a false Messiah. This is not a false Messiah. This is not the Messiah that God has promised, but is a Messiah nonetheless. The word Mashiach means anointed. Anointed by God to do what the King David, was supposed to have accomplished. As Rashi says in the book of Genesis, that King David wished to do away with the idolatrous practices of the world, but in heaven they stopped him. And therefore, King David was not able to accomplish that which King David set out to do. Does that make King David a failed Messiah, a false Messiah? God forbid. He is the first Messiah, not the last one. Rabbi Shimon Bar Kokhba was not a failed Messiah. He just wasn't the Messiah. He was a king from the house of David. He accomplished great things, but he did not accomplish what the ultimate, the final Messiah shall be. And that's part of the problem where people look at the lifetime of the Lubavitcher Rebbe and act cynical and say some very inappropriate things. The Rebbe was a giant among men as well as his predecessors. Every one of them could have been the Messiah. But for whatever reason, just as with King David, God intervened for whatever purpose God had. That does not make it a failed Messiah. It makes it a Messiah, but not the ultimate, final Messiah. One of the characteristics of King David, which the final Messiah must have, is total devotion to the flock, to the point of self-sacrifice. Now, self-sacrifice takes many, many different ways, many different forms of self-sacrifice. Most people think of self-sacrifice allowing your neck to be cut off, but that's not real self-sacrifice. That's called giving oneself over to death. Self-sacrifice is putting oneself aside, whether it be your physical self or even your spiritual self.